Well, welcome today to our monthly meeting for Indivisible We Rise. We're delighted to have so many of you out. You know, we were kind of expecting to have a few more newer faces and younger faces, but you know, we are, all of us committed, those of us who are here. And we had a good march. It was an enthusiastic march. We had a lot of enthusiastic honking, and it was a good time, and it got our message out. So anyway, we're glad that you're here. We're gonna have pizza delivered very soon. Please, this is informal. There are cold drinks over there. I think he was gonna stop and get some coffee if anyone's a coffee drinker, because by the time this air starts working, we might feel like coffee. And just get up and quietly go get your pizza. I know some of you have driven a ways, and some of you have marched. So, you know, come in. So if you take a look, you should have received an agenda. If you did not, there are some over here. If you raise your hand, maybe Pam would grab one for you. But the first date on here that we want you to see and mark down is the Demstock event that is occurring near here. It is now, we have people from both parties that have supported us over the years and that kind of have our values. So, but Demstock is a unique experience if you've never been to it. It's in Jefferson County over at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds. It'll be the evening of the 15th and then the day. The main event is all day on the 16th. And what I really want to tell you is that, or ask you, is if anybody would be willing to go that day. We have 3 or 4 spots that we're saving that will be paid for if you'll come and help sit at our table. I don't really want to be tethered to our table from 10 in the morning until dinner time. It would be nice to be able to get up and walk around. So we will provide you with a ticket to the event, which will then get you a very nice meal at 6 o'clock. You get to hear some candidates speak and some inspirational things. There's Penn State Creamery ice cream, and that sometimes is enough to make people want to go. So that is at Jefferson County Fairgrounds on the Clarion County Democrats site. You can find information about that. The event after that is August 24th. We have a wonderful group of younger folks who have kind of taken it under their wing to address the problem with the detention center in Phillipsburg. How many of you did not know that there's a detention center in Phillipsburg? Well, guess what? It's the biggest one in the Northeast. And Kaylee, raise your hand. She kind of spearheads this, and we'll let her throw more in. We're trying to get through these announcements as quickly as possible. But they did one demonstration that met with a lot of success. And these young women have been driving up in addition to that and just kind of, I want to say, snooping around, but that's a good thing to be doing. They're finding out, they're getting information this way. That event is from 2 to 4. I'll have Kaylee tell you if you're interested, or you can ask her later about, you can ask her about where to park. Parking is a little bit of an issue, but you know, be thinking about that because we'll come back to that in a minute, or you can see her afterwards. August 24th also, you know, good things happen sometimes at the same time, but most of you know what gerrymandering is and what fair districts is. And we are very, very fortunate to have Carol Kunaholm, who's the what do you call her? Chair. She's the chair for the whole state. I've heard her speak, and she is excellent. And she will be at our Main Street Center from 4 to 6 on the 24th. So I'm going to ask you a favor. Put one of those on your calendar if you possibly can. If you can't go to one over at Phillipsburg, that's understandable. But maybe at least you or someone you know can go, because this is a big deal, right? To have her come.
Yes. And this is a big deal in the news right now with Texas and their gerrymandering and all those other states responding.
It absolutely is. These are 2 of the biggest issues, and we've got something we can go to on the same day. I suppose theoretically you could go do one, drive back, rush back, and go to the other, but that'd be pretty hard. So anyway, I wanted you to know about both of those. The other thing that I want you to know about is, and it's going to skip down a little bit here to that's the very next thing. Our noon meeting on September 13th, the topic is how we treat our immigrants and what we can do to help them. So right here in the library at noon, we're going to have a special speaker from a group called Casa San Jose in Pittsburgh. And Kaylee's going to do a whole bit that day with pictures of the events that we may have missed, some of us. So it will be a great opportunity that day. Yeah, Ray.
I'm hoping that we could get some detail a little bit early, because I like to take them out to the Chinese and this guy.
Oh. Well, the guy that's coming from Casa Jose is going to Zoom. He cannot be here with us in person.
Well, that's all right. I just want to let them know what's going on. I mean, Cesar was here today.
Yes.
I'd like to get some representation from the Chinese community. If anybody out there speaks better Chinese than I do.
What Ray is referring to when we were getting ready to march and standing in front of the library, a very handsome young man came up and joined us and said, "Do you mind if I join you?" And I didn't. He looked vaguely familiar to me, but he works at Cozumel. His family owns the restaurant Cozumel, and so he came and marched with us. So that's the first time we've had anyone join us from the local community, immigrant community.
Oh, no.
Yes, we had a couple. We get people that just show up. We've had people jump out of cars and join us. So that's pretty fun. September 21st is something for your spirit. And it is going to be going on all over the country. It is World Peace Day. That's the name it's called. It is a concert that's going to be over in Brookville at the Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. Their priest actually went to the detention center with the marchers and with his clerical collar on. It's a very rare person from the clergy who will put themselves out there that way. So it's his church, but we're not doing anything. He's just letting us use it. It's a beautiful old building. It'll be a great place, pianists playing with a bunch of other musicians. If any of you came to our protest singing event at the coffee house, it is going to be similar to that. It should be a great day of music. And are we going to do the thing where we're coordinating singing the one thing with people around the country?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a song that is planned that everyone across the country will be singing at the same time. So see what I mean? Lift your spirit. We've got to keep our spirits high one way or another. This is not on here, but if you want to write it on, you'll hear about it later. October 11th will be our monthly meeting in October. We have the permission to use a bigger space. We're going to be using the basement of New Rehoboth Greenville Presbyterian Church, and we're going to be offering a three-pronged event that day. One with stress relieving techniques, what you can do to when you just feel like you're going to lose your mind. So some mental health, a little mental health component, and we are going to be having a yoga instructor come and show you some stretches. So we need a bigger space than this. So that meeting will not be here, and we're going to have to really push that so that people understand that. But I got approval today from the church that we can use that building. And the third component is self-defense. It was brought up that some of us were out there in the midst of a crowd. You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to try to find someone who can come in and show us some basic self-defense things that you can do to protect yourself. So health, safety, and welfare. So those are our events. Ongoing things that are going on. Where's Sky? There's Sky. Sky has started a wonderful postcard program. Can you just tell them real quickly about that?
We are writing postcards to. We're writing postcards to unregistered women in Pennsylvania to encourage them to register to vote for the November election for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. We have 3 judges up for retention. We want to keep them. So this is encouraging people to register to vote because nobody votes on years that are not major elections. We have our next in-person postcard writing party on August 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. That's going to be here in the library meeting room, and we will have pizza. It's a little postcard and pizza party. And there are also packets of 10 postcards that you can grab. There's addresses, there's scripts, you can grab them. They already have the stamps on them. So you just need to write them and go ahead. And then the other thing I also have up there is I've been helping to run an immigration subcommittee. We have a phone tree if ICE is ever to come into the community. We're trying to figure out a plan of action. If you would like to be on the newsletter, like email for that, there's a sign up sheet there. If you're just on the regular Indivisible newsletter, you will not get those specific emails. So that is just for people specifically interested in immigration, and we'll send out more details about the Moshannon stuff too.
What time is the postcard ready on the 21st?
5 to 7 p.m.
Here.
Yes, here in the library.
And they can take these back.
Yeah, and your gravel packet, there's 15. I would love to see them all gone, so please take one.
That date again is 21.
August.
20.
Can I ask a question? Do you have access to any information that ICE is active in this area?
Dan?
Yeah, I have tracked down supposedly I-6 stage plus record two in Dr. Deal's parking lot, and then we're picking people up from the stage production facility. We have the whiskey barrel stage production facility out at the east end of town. Story was they were picking people up. No confirmation on any of that.
But the source said that they were someone that worked in Dr. Deal's office and they saw it. They happened to be in there early that day. So they're saying that they saw this. Now, whether they misinterpreted what they saw or not. But that's a recent thing that we've heard just within the last week. So this is a limited edition of what I have on this shirt. They're on sale. We only have a handful left. Just for a donation, we were asking a $15 donation, but at this point, we just want to get them out there. So there's a handful of those over there. So t-shirts, that's it. That's our announcements. So we want to get on with our program because we are so blessed to have these 3 people with us. They're just fabulous. You may have met Penn, but she was up on the big screen the last time you met Penn earlier. And so their bios, very brief 4-sentence bios or whatever, are on here. I won't read that to you, but they are all highly qualified and they are fun people. So let's welcome them, please. Oh, yes.
Before you move on,
Yes.
could you update the list of upcoming events so that we could have it on paper and send it out?
Did you get?
I got this, but I thought there were other things that you were mentioning, like the postcard writing and things like that.
Are you in our Facebook group?
Pardon me?
Are you on our Facebook group, Indivisible Us?
I'm on your email list.
If you join the Facebook group, I take notes of all these meetings and they're posted
Oh,
there. The
okay.
events list is
Good
in
enough. I'll do
And
that.
we're working on a fall offerings brochure. It's just not ready to hand out today. We're hoping to have it ready for desktop, which is in just a week more. So anyway, without further ado, this is Michael's going first. This is Michael Pollack.
And then Michael. You want this? Watch your shadow. Can't see where the screen is. All right. Okay.
Hello. Good to be here. I left from Philly this morning at 5 a.m. and I'm happy to be here. Stopped off in Katanning where we did some billboarding with billboards like that. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a introduction to nonviolent direct action, campaign strategizing, and a few other pieces of things today. There's going to be space today for discussion and conversation. Please speak up when we get there. I'm sure you'll have things to say. And the goal of today is really to help you all refine what you're doing and do justice work as best as you possibly can. That's the goal. And so we're just here to be of service and help out however possible. Let's keep going here. Well, that's what we're doing. So we're going to go over who we are. Let's keep going. So this is really briefly who we are as March on Harrisburg. We've been out here before. We have people who are here. I'm coming from the southeastern part of the state, but there's plenty of March on Harrisburg people out here. We are an anti-corruption, pro-democracy, politically independent, volunteer-driven movement. We organize everywhere across the state, from Erie to Philly, from the border of West Virginia all the way up to the border of New York. We've been working for about 9 years now to make bribery illegal in Pennsylvania and build democracy. Those are our goals. These are just some pictures of us doing civil disobedience, just so you all know that when we talk about civil disobedience, we've done it. This is just to show that. So this is at the Capitol, at the hotel across from the Capitol. All over here, we've done actions from as far north as Center County, all the way into the southeast, all the way out here into Western PA. We've done about 45 or so nonviolent direct actions since we started. So let's take a step back and just ask, what are we living in right now? What are we living through? And what does it mean? So can you all see this chart here? This chart is the disconnect between productivity and compensation. And it shows that as US workers have been more productive, our compensation has flatlined. And you can see the flatline started in the mid-70s or so, and just continues to accelerate to today. This is a graph just to show the economic inequality that we're living in right now, where top 1%, the rich are getting richer, and everybody else is flatlining or declining. This is prices here, just to show the price of everything has gone up, everything important. You'll see actually that the prices of some non-important things have actually gone down, things like televisions and entertainment. But the price of things that you need to live, like childcare, healthcare, hospitals, housing, food, those things all skyrocketed, gone up through the roof. And this is the economy that we're living in. These are the fundamental material realities that we're living in here. Everything costs more, we're making less, we're struggling. Who here identifies with that statement there? Right. So this happens because one reason is that bribery is legal. Bribery is completely legal. Who's hearing this for the first time? Politician takes bribe. Is that a headline? It's not even news because it's systemic. It's what happens day in and day out. And it's absolutely, completely legal. And so we have an economy that works for the guy with the gold. The guy with the gold makes the rules. It's not the golden rule of love your neighbor as yourself. It's the golden rule of the guy with the gold makes the rules. Democracy runs by the principle of one person, one vote. Each of us has an inherent humanity, and we have one vote in the common process. Our economy runs by the process of $1, one vote, or more accurately, one share, one vote. Right? Who makes the decisions at Amazon? Is it the workers? No. It's the majority shareholders and the executives that they hire. Small number of people making decisions on behalf of everybody else. Now they've taken that model and they've conquered one person, one vote. $1, one vote has conquered one person, one vote. Corruption has conquered democracy. This is how you go, go back. This is how you can legally bribe and speak with money in Pennsylvania politics today. These are the most common methods of corruption at the state level. It rhymes with the common corruption at the federal level, and I'm sure you can all tell me it rhymes with the common corruption at the local level too. But these are the specific ways at the state level that this works. One, unlimited gifts. No limit of any kind, of any amount, no nothing. Anything is legal, cash gifts are legal. Campaign contributions. We have no limits. There's no limits. If you want to fund somebody's campaign, you can give them anything you want to give them, and they're dependent on you to run that campaign. So if you're the richest guy in the state, for example, like Jeffrey Yass, you can cut 7-figure checks to candidates that you like, and guess what? They're going to pick up the phone when you call. They're going to do what you say. Revolving door. This is future job offers. That's what revolving door means. So it's when you're a public official, you have the public's trust, and then you cash in on that trust and you get hired as a lobbyist lobbying your former colleagues. Harrisburg is filled with the revolving door. A couple of quick examples. Our last governor's health secretary, acting health secretary, is now the top lobbyist for UPMC, and his chief of staff is now the top lobbyist for Amazon. The last Senate president and the Senate president before him joined together to start up a lobbying firm together. This is how it works. You're often working for your next job where you get 1,000% pay raise at a minimum. They're usually even higher than that, and you never have to talk to the voters again. Side jobs. Side jobs are legal. At the state level in Pennsylvania, you can have side jobs with obvious conflicts of interest. For example, the chair of the Senate Environmental and Energy Resources Committee, Gene Yaw, is a practicing attorney for gas companies. He gets paid, we don't know how much. It's at least $1,300 a year because that's the reporting requirement. But he's working a side job as a gas lawyer while overseeing Pennsylvania's environmental and energy laws, completely legal. About 2/3 of them work side jobs. Secret super PAC money. Who here's inbox gets flooded with mailers and ads on social media every election season, and you just can't escape this stuff. And radio, social media, TV, print, they're just everywhere. That's often the secret money, the super PAC spending. Super PAC spending is completely unlimited in Pennsylvania, and it operates from the highest levels to the lowest levels. There's actually a scandal in central Pennsylvania right now. There's a local township supervisor race where a super PAC showed up with $40,000 of lies, just round after round of mailers sent out to voters with lies on them. Nobody knows where the money came from. The money is supporting two candidates. They have no idea what's happening. And the money that the candidates that the money are opposing are just frustrated and bewildered. It probably has something to do with a new data center. That seems to be the big thing that the candidates disagree on. That seems to be who's behind this. Who knows? And why are they allowed to do it anyway? 5 ways to get money into politics. And so when the guy with the gold makes the rules, what kind of rules do you think they make? Not ones in our interest. Princeton University, about 10 years ago, did a very comprehensive study. They looked at thousands of outcomes at the federal level from the 1980s and the 1990s. We're talking about systemic issues today. So going back a couple decades in the 80s and 90s. And they asked the question, this issue came before Congress. Here's what happened at the end of the day. What did the public think about that? And what did big money special interest groups think about that? And this is their conclusion based off of all of that data. The preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact on public policy. How does that make you feel? It don't matter. Right? That's a pretty rough statement. Go back just one more, sorry. Our goal here is to flip this statement. That's the work that we do, right? We're here to say power should be with the people. Democracy, demos, the people, that's where power should be. Power is not with us, we need to claim that power. And that's what y'all are doing, and that's what we're here to talk about, is making power be with the people, claiming our power. So I just wanted to talk about this guy for a sec, because I know he's on your minds. He's not new. That's kind of what I'm here to say. He's the Joker. Any Batman fans here? Right? Every villain has their niche, right? What they do. And to me, this guy is the Joker. And the genius of the Joker, the twisted genius of the Joker, is that he's always holding up a mirror to Gotham City. And he's always saying to Gotham City, you're bad, and I am the amplification of your bad. You're evil, just like me, and I am the absolute epitome of your evil. I am of you, I am from you, this is who you are, and you're no better than me. That's what the Joker does. And then, at the end of every Batman movie, the people of Gotham City join together and they say, no, we're better than this. Sure, every human being has the capacity for greed. Every human being has the capacity for hate. We can all be jerks sometimes, sure. But that's not who we are. We're better than that. We believe in democracy. We treat our neighbors with dignity. We try to love our neighbor. We're better than that. And so that's what we're here to do. And he's the Joker, and I say that on the corruption front. You know, the last Speaker of the House took an $11,000 private jet flight from the frackers. Our current governor took $68,000 in helicopter rides from a billionaire, and the Joker just takes the whole frickin' plane. We live in a society where the guy with the gold makes the rules, and the Joker says, well, I've got a golden toilet, so I make all the rules. This was already in us, and it's up to us to say, this is not who we are. We are better than this. We are going to root out corruption. We are going to welcome our neighbor. We are going to tend to our sick. We are going to take care of each other. We're going to make sure that everybody has a roof over their head. We need to do better so that the Joker, when he holds up a mirror, just gets laughed off. That's the goal. A word on polarization. Who here feels like we're living in really polarized, exciting times? Who here gets depressed by that term, polarization? Okay. Let me try to reframe it here today. There's a great activist, George Lakey. Anyone know that? He wrote a book called How We Win, highly recommend it. And there's a movie out called Citizen George. It's out there. If you Google for it, you'll find it. He tells a story, he uses a metaphor a lot, about how society is like a rigid iron bar. It's like a steel beam. It's a piece of metal. It's hard to move. It's unbending. It's rigid. And then when you turn the fire up, though, and you light up the forge, all of a sudden you can bend metal. That when the fire is on, you can reshape that society. You can hammer away at it over the fire and reshape it into anything. As the prophets used to say, you can turn your swords into plowshares, your spears into pruning hooks. And you can only do this when the fire is on. So I really ask you all to look at this moment in history as an opportunity, as a moment where the fire is up, things are undecided, things are moving, and it's up to us to swing away with the blacksmith's hammer until we forge a democracy, a government of, by, and for the people. So please be excited by this moment in time. Most people don't get to live through exciting moments. Actually, if you live long enough, you'll get there. So how do we get to peace? How do we reshape that society into one that is nonviolent rather than violent? When I say nonviolent rather than violent, not in just outbursts of peace or outbursts of war, but in kind of the status quo baseline humming along day to day of our society. Can someone give me examples of just day-to-day violence in the society?
The American healthcare system.
Boom. Roughly 200 people a day die in this country from a denial of healthcare. It's 200 people a day in this country. That number goes back. It doesn't change much administration to administration. It goes up, it goes down. It's been there for a little bit. What else? What's the baseline?
The criminal justice system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've had mass incarceration going on decades now. And before that, it looked like something else. There's been ups and downs on that one too. And we're in a depression. People are locked up. We are the most incarcerated nation in the history of the world. That's
violence. Gun violence.
Gun violence. Absolutely. God, I saw a terrible stat. Compared to other developed countries, the United States children are 80% less likely to make it to the age of 20. A lot of that is gun violence. A lot of that is also healthcare and other things too, but that's a big piece of it. That's violence. What else?
Food insecurity.
Food insecurity. Kids are going to sleep hungry. 1 in 8 children in Pennsylvania lives in deep poverty. 1 in 2 children is poor or low income. Poverty is violence. Denial of housing, denial of food, denial of healthcare. This is violence, folks. Doesn't need to be this way, right? We can get to peace. We can get to peace. Anybody else want to throw something out that's on your heart right now? We gotta get to peace. 800. I'll close with the stat that 800 people a day in this country die from poverty. If you're depending on the zip code you're living in, you look at a rich zip code next to a poor zip code, The difference in life expectancy is 20 years. 20 years. That's violence.
Yeah.
So we got to do something about this, and everybody here is, and let's keep going. So here, we're going to go into March on Harrisburg a little bit, and I'm going to lay out some things, and then we're going to do an exercise for the Moshannon Detention Center. And we're going to try to kind of take some of the structure, map it onto that campaign, and talk things through. And there's actually going to be something in between too. I'm getting ahead of myself. So March on Harrisburg, these are our goals. Goals are simple: building the movement, making corruption illegal, making democracy legal. That's it. Corruption illegal, democracy legal, build the movement to get that done. That's what we do. This is how we win. Our strategy here. We organize across all lines of division. I love your instinct to connect with the Spanish-speaking and Chinese communities here. You got it. You got it. We got to build a movement across every line of division. Rural, urban, suburban, divisions of religion, language, race, gender, whatever it is, you have to work across those lines of division. Otherwise, we fail miserably. We have to be united. We have to be united across lines of division. Don't let the ruling class turn you against your neighbor. And they can't do that if you're working with your neighbor. Develop leaders. We always have to be developing our leadership. Always. If we don't know what we're doing, it doesn't matter that we're organized. You got a bunch of people to show up. If you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter. We have to know what we're doing. We have to be clear about the system that we're operating in. We have to be clear about our strategy. We have to be competent in carrying out our tactics. We have to be committed to the movement and to each other, confident enough to sit across from somebody wearing a suit and tell the truth, and connected enough to get the job done. And then the third step is those bold nonviolent tactics that win campaigns, that grow the movement. And as you grow the movement, you win bigger campaigns. As you win bigger campaigns, you grow the movement, so on, until you win. Sounds simple, right? It's just like 3 easy steps to peace. It's nothing, right? It's very, very simple. These are our active campaigns right now. That's March on Harrisburg. Money out and people in. Those are the 2 buckets. Money out, gift ban, stopping super PAC spending, campaign contribution limits, and democracy dollars. We'll get into that next year. We're writing that bill right now. It's a public campaign financing bill that makes politicians talk to people rather than talk to donors and rich people. On the people inside, ranked choice voting, the Pennsylvania Voting Rights Act, national popular vote to sidestep the Electoral College. And in both of these things, we have more things that we work on, but these are the ones at the top of the agenda right now in negotiations. Of course, gerrymandering and open primaries and other things too, we're in. So these are our tactics. I'm just laying this all out here because we want you all to, we're going to pitch some tactics in a minute. Michael, you're supposed to be doing this section. You want to go?
I think I'm doing.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Sorry. More tactics, active nonviolence.
I can talk about it, but you're better.
These are some active nonviolent tactics, and we have them from least intense to most intense, least destructive to most destructive. The whole scale is useful and needed, but we escalate from least intense, least disruptive, lesser encounter to most destructive, most intense, most extreme encounter. So emails, letters, phone calls, lobbying, marching, nonviolent direct action.
Active nonviolence, you obviously are missing one of the most important things, which is economic boycott. Simply don't buy anything. George Bush at 9/11 was giving platitudes, and he ended by saying, "Go shopping." If you want to stop Republicans, stop shopping.
Right, so absolutely. So there's a lot of different kinds of nonviolent direct action. You have boycotts, you have point of destruction things like going to a fracking pad or sitting in the redwoods and sitting up there. There's point of consumption, those are boycotts. Point of survival, point of survival actions are like when you take over a hospital that's about to shut down and you say, we're keeping this thing open. What are the other ones? Point of decision. So point of decision is what we focus on. That's where you're going to the decision maker, usually a public official, and you're protesting there to get them to decide to do something. And I'm forgetting one type of direct action. But yeah, so there's a lot of different types of nonviolence. There's a lot of different ways to fight this fight. These are the ones that we do here as March on Harrisburg, but there's so much more to do. Base building, you got to be growing. You got to be meeting your base, growing your base all the time, training your replacement constantly. Always be training your replacement. Always be inviting new people in. Whatever skills you're picking up, if you learned it from one person, make sure you teach it to 2 people. Make sure that you're always passing information through the movement and developing leaders. Communications, tech, and fundraising, I won't say much about those. Self-explanatory. This is that staircase of tactics here, right? From the lowest to the highest, least intense to the most intense, and we always escalate. So if you start with direct action, it's kind of odd if they don't know why you're there. So you always kind of want to let them know ahead of time, hey, this is the conflict that we have. You are taking bribes and passing laws to take away people's health care. We're in a fight. This is a conflict. You're doing violence. We're here to settle it with nonviolence. First, we're going to start by saying, hey, stop that. We could do that over the phone. And eventually you do that in person. And then eventually you occupy their office and until either they do the right thing or they hide behind the police. And if they do hide behind the police, then you come back the next week and you occupy their office again. And if they hide behind the police again, you go to the Toff Trees Golf Club in Center County, where a lot of them like to have fundraisers, and you hang out between the 8th and the 9th hole, and you just get the hell there, and so on, and so on. Your resources. So as you're designing your campaign, right, we have our goals, strategy, tactics, resources. Resources are pretty straightforward for March on Harrisburg. I'm sure that it's pretty straightforward stuff. You need people. You need funds. You need digital infrastructure, your Facebook group, your email server, all of that. Educational resources. So you can be doing your trainings and teaching new people how to do this. As people join, they're getting educated. And any other materials that you have. For March on Harrisburg, we have like 6 of those 10 by 10 sunshades. We have a bunch of folding tables. We have a lot of random stuff because you do stuff over time. So you need your resources. So these are some tactics that we want to engage you in. You've already done some of these things with us over the years. Michael's going to come up and explain more.
So, next slide, I believe. I just came from I'm going in the way.
Not you were very well.
Okay. I just came from
better actually.
I just came from Katanning. I spent the morning with a group called Armstrong Unite. I think that's what they're called. But they were billboarding. And Michael talked about organizing across, how do you say that?
All lines of division.
All lines of division. Well, this was a good example of how you can do that. If you want to feel love, stand anywhere in this area and hold up a sign like this. Or the other sign is End Pennsylvania Lawmaker Bribery. Now, I'm your neighbor. I don't know how many of you know that. I live in Butler County. I've been to some of your meetings before. I went to my senator's office. I think some of you might have the same senator, Scott Hutchison. I went to Scott Hutchison's office in Butler, and I wasn't by myself, but we held signs like this in Butler. Now, a friend of mine had this thing where it was his rule of thumb. You can't leave a rally until someone tells you to get a job. You guys can relate to that, right? Well, we were there for 2.5 hours in front of Scott Hutchison's office holding these signs. And I thought, we're going to hear it. But no, nothing but love. Except for one guy with a MAGA hat came up to me. He said, what the hell are we fighting about today? And then when I told him that we were there to end bribery of politicians, we had the most wonderful conversation. So this is a great introduction to putting pressure on politicians, reaching across divisions, getting love from almost everybody. This morning in Katanning, honks, honks, honks. The most negative comment we had was somebody rode by and said, Trump 2024. But almost everything else was honks and thumbs up. It was amazing. Next, lobbying. I know, since Kathleen talked to me about this, some of you are going to go visit your representative, Bashline,
Yes, later this month.
later this month. I know you gave me a date, right?
I think it's the
25th?
25th.
Yeah. I've met with Representative, he's not mine, but I've met with Representative Bashline in Harrisburg. I also met with him in Katanning. He was at a town hall there. And it's really good to get to talk to your representative, and it's really easy to pressure them about an issue like gifts, because gifts and bribery are universally unpopular, and no politician is ever going to say, yeah, I'm for bribery. They have all kinds of other excuses, but you can really have a really nice conversation with Representative Bashline, who, when I spoke to him, was his first day when he was getting sworn in, was very anxious to say that he never takes bribes, that he will never take bribes. And when I saw him in Katanning with Senator Pittman, he also said that. So yeah, definitely lobby.
That's true.
It might be, I don't know. He said he never takes bribes. We'll see, but we need to hold him accountable. But anyway, yeah, go visit your representatives. They know that you're behind this thing, and you want them to do the right thing. Count on it.
But we went to see Donna Oberlander as well several years ago, and we asked her if she would support the gift ban, and she said no, because they often will have like people like Girl Scouts show up and they'll give them a box of cookies and things like that. And that, she said, it would just be so awful to have to say no. You know, they just want to be nice and give us that. And I just said, you know darn well that's not what we're talking about. But I'd be interesting to see what he says to us.
Well, there's lots of good answers to that. And my favorite, and you were with me at this thing, you were walking through the Capitol and we ran into some representative and we asked him about the gift ban. And his line was, well, if we didn't have those free lunches, we'd never talk to the Republicans.
So one thing to be prepared for with Bashline, because I've had this discussion with him before, is for him to just jump to, well, this politician does it, which jump to Shapiro. So be prepared for that to count.
Yeah, you will definitely get that.
Yeah.
Senator Hutchison's response was, well, we also need to get rid of all the gifts that the unions are giving. Well, yeah, we need to get rid of the gifts, period.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have here in this part of the state, we have two gatekeepers who are working very, very hard to make sure none of this legislation gets to the floor. One of them is your neighbor to the south, Joe Pittman. Senator Joe Pittman can block legislation. So if you want to, and I'm encouraging you to, take the short drive that I just took this morning, Michael just took this morning as well, down to Katanning. They are doing a bang-up job holding him accountable. They are billboarding. They are going to his office. They went to his town hall meeting and held him accountable for that. Really, wow.
I'll note while that's going on, I know there's some people from Armstrong County on the Zoom. He's yours.
Well, actually, those people, that's one of the, they were at this. They were one of them is the organizer. So yeah, absolutely, they're with you in spirit for right now for sure on this Zoom call. So anyway, yeah, and then the other person is also very close by. I mean, not as close, but Senator Kim Ward is another massive gatekeeper. She's in Westmoreland, and they are also putting a lot of pressure on her there. Next slide. You want to talk about this? Yeah.
In prayer, it's not going to full screen.
It's all good. District office action. So we're at that point with Pittman. So we want to recruit from here, connect with the Indiana County folks.
We find
go to his office. This is what it looked like in Bradford's office in the southeast.
In prayer, we're right here.
Dear House Majority Leader Matt Bradford, billionaires and giant corporations use large amounts of money to influence elected officials. then use that purchased public power to pass or block laws to make more money and concentrate more
low
power.
income. 800 people a day are dying from poverty in the richest country in the history of the world. We suffer from a rigged and unaffordable economy, the denial of health care, systematic racism used to divide.
But with every major advance in our history, a reactionary movement rises up and seeks to undo those wins and further consolidate money and power in the ultra-rich.
Society for the better. A necessary goal of this anti-democracy movement is to legalize political bribery.
Democracy must be responsive to the people, not to whoever has the most money. The sovereign power of democracy is the people, the demos.
As long as corruption reigns, the people are not sovereign. We will not solve our problems, and we will continue to struggle and suffer.
Fixing any issue means fixing democracy, because we cannot make good decisions if our decision-making process is corrupted.
It needs to be illegal for lobbyists to give unlimited gifts to elected officials. 47 other states have a gift ban, and we are embarrassing and unethical outliers in league with the U.S. Supreme Court.
Can I ask what the two other states are? It's not illegal. I'm not gonna play the Jeopardy.
I want to say Mississippi and. I'm sorry. Where's this? Is it Delaware? No, give me a minute.
I seriously doubt it's Delaware.
Yeah. Oh, every year we update the list too. But yeah, so I'm so sorry. I don't have the answer. Okay, yeah. But we are one of 3 states. Everybody else has this in some way or another. So that was what an in-district action looks like. They can look like anything. That's just what one looked like a couple months ago in the House Majority Leader's district office in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. We want you all to please join with our folks in Indiana, go into Joe Pittman's office and do an action. It could be reading that same exact letter that we wrote up, just switch out the names. It basically goes the same. It can be anything. But please, we want to start planning some of those district actions and get y'all involved, because at a certain point, you just have to go into the office and tell the truth. Man the space, tell the truth, and make them deal with that. Flyer and table and door knocking.
And I just want to say, March on Harrisburg and Pennsylvania Action on Climate, when we do an action, it's really well planned and it's uplifting. So, I mean, you feel powerful. So yes, and when would we be doing that possibly?
That all depends on the folks out here. We got to
Hear
get
that?
that in like September.
What did you say the other state was?
It's Mississippi and
Missouri.
Missouri. Nice. That makes sense. It's called the Show Me State. Show me the bride.
So let's us in this part of the state, let's plan on visiting Pittman's office sometime soon. Let's get that organized. Okay, and I will go with you. I would love to be voting.
And you'll be joined by the Indiana folks on Zoom, and then we have some other people in Pittsburgh who will come out. It'll be a big thing.
We will turn people out.
And we'll get the clergy out front. That really rocks them.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm so sorry. Could you just go back one slide? I just want to point to one picture.
Yeah, I'll go faster.
That's the Grange Fair. Who here's been to the Grange Fair? Right? How do you
It's
describe
on right now.
How do you describe the political leanings of people at the Grange Fair?
It's central Pennsylvania.
Most popular booth at the whole fair, because 93% of Pennsylvanians think money in politics is bad. We were extremely popular.
We can even do better than that, because last year a contingent from Pittsburgh and March on Harrisburg folks went to the Trump rally in Butler.
Oh, yeah.
And were well received. They weren't run out.
Same at the one in Bucks County. We were working those lines.
Again, I'm just to give you some context. I'm the mayor of Cherry Valley Borough in northern Butler County. Most of my neighbors voted for Trump, but all of my neighbors are against bribery. So again, working across differences.
Am I going too fast for you?
You're good, you're good. Another tactic is, I'm sorry, go back one, yeah.
I am going too fast for you.
Here, make pilgrimage to Harrisburg. Raise your hand if you've marched with us. Everybody, come on out to Harrisburg once a year. Once a year. If these were biblical times, we would say make pilgrimage to Jerusalem 3 times a year. Now we'll just say Harrisburg once a year. The turnpike's pretty expensive. So just once a year, make sure you get there. You got to go to your capital. This is where decisions are made. This is the hall of power and commerce in this state. We have to be there. We have to chase those money changers out of the temple. That's the goal. Letters to the editor. Write some letters to the editor, please. All the time, we have templates. You can get to them by scanning that right there. We can also just send you the links later. Please pull up the templates. We have them for gift ban. We have them for super PAC spending. We have them for ranked choice voting. Just send in letters to the editor. You can send them over to us if you're not plugged into March on Harrisburg. Just send them over to one of us first, and we can edit and give any feedback.
Also, if you want help with that, Christine, raise your hand. She writes these all the time. Give you help if you need it.
Amazing.
And definitely scan that right now, because it will bring you right to the thing. Yeah.
We'll connect, Christine. Let's keep going. Okay, we're going to do an exercise here. How are people feeling? Good, bad.
They're all looking at the QR code.
Okay.
Sorry about it.
It's all good. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise here to just kind of ground ourselves. And we do this, so I'll say March on Harrisburg, we work with a lot of groups across the state. And we do this exercise with other groups across the state because we find that it's very helpful if anybody's feeling down or depressed to get them active and up. And I mean depressed, not necessarily mentally, but activity-wise, right? Depression is also an activity depression. And to really try to motivate and light some fire here. So we're going to do an exercise. You can look at it from 2 different structures. One is Joanna Macy. Has anybody read her stuff? She actually just passed away a couple weeks ago. She had this great book called Active Hope. And so this is an exercise from there. And then she kind of, I think, just kind of looked at the story of the burning bush in Exodus and kind of mapped from there. So you can structure from both. So the story of the burning bush is the story where, and I'm sorry, I don't know if I've said this. I'm a rabbi, by the way, so that's why I keep kind of going biblical here. The story of the burning bush begins with a criminal outlaw refugee named Moses who grew up in the finest palaces of Egypt, had the best education, had every advantage in life growing up in Pharaoh's household. He, in a fit of passion and rage, he murders a taskmaster overseeing the slaves, and he flees out into the wilderness, and that's where the story should end. And he should have died there, and nothing else should have happened. Instead, the burning bush happens, and Moses becomes Moses. After the burning bush, he turns around, he heads back, and the rest of the story happens. So at the burning bush, 4 things happened, and we're going to walk through those 4 things. And this is going to be interactive, folks, so get ready. The first thing that happened is gratitude. Moses is standing there, and he sees a bush that's burning, and he goes, oh my God, holy crap, what is this? This is incredible. And he has a moment of gratitude, and he takes off his sandals as a show of gratitude. We all display gratitude in different ways. The poet Rumi said there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Right? There's so many ways to display gratitude. But gratitude is an essential starting point because it helps us focus on that which is good so that we can then build off of the good. So I want you all to think of an issue that's on your mind and think big. Democracy, immigration, healthcare, something like that. Sit with that, and where do you see gratitude? Where do you feel gratitude when you think of that issue in that moment? Where do you feel gratitude? I can just kind of model here on democracy. I'm feeling particularly grateful this week for great journalists who dig through the paperwork and follow the money. And I'm feeling grateful also for the lawyers who actually write the bills, because that's work that I'm not good at. That's what really I'm feeling grateful that people are there to make sure that the words are correct on the page. So what are you all feeling gratitude-wise within an issue? Please.
I'm grateful that the price for solar energy is now below $1 a watt, and that people who were cooking their food on dung fires can now get stoves that don't run on dung.
Here, 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 here. Absolutely.
I am very thankful for, I've been working on this Moshannon Valley Processing Center, concentration camp really. And I am very thankful for the people that are standing up along with me on this. And I'm so thankful for the bravery of the people that have been in there and are there for sharing their stories and helping us help them through that. They're very afraid of retaliation, so.
Gratitude for their courage.
Yes.
The courage, anyone know the root of that word in Latin? Your core, your corazon, your heart. Courage is when you lead with your heart. That's what the word means, when you put your heart out there. Anybody else?
We have people that are willing to challenge the actions of this administration in court. We have judges who are willing to hold them accountable at the risk of them and their families' lives.
I know lawyers get a lot of grief in our society, but they can be good, okay? They can be good.
I'm grateful for Thoreau and Gandhi and Martin Luther King for showing us that civil disobedience, non-cooperation, Gandhi had them do nothing for one day. The whole country shut down. That doesn't require flyers. That doesn't require an email. You simply tell everybody next Wednesday, do nothing. And then our power will be overwhelmingly real.
The power of nonviolence shown again and again through history. Gandhi has a line, nonviolence cannot meet with defeat. You can't lose. You cannot lose with nonviolence. What happens if you think you lose? You didn't. You grew the movement, and you learned a lot, and you brought new people in, and then you go right back out there, and then you win. You cannot lose.
I'm grateful for all the independent press that is out there now, and it's growing, and they're not afraid to put the truth out there and to give us a source that we can trust.
Is everybody here subscribed to Spotlight PA? Make sure you are if you are not. They do the best state level reporting, spotlightpa.org. It's a group of different newsrooms have come together in the last couple of years, and they do just great work. They follow the money. They have people who know how to dig through 10 years of statement of financial interest. That's a lot. Who else? Anyone else want to share?
Well, I think the representatives, the Democratic representatives in the state of Texas need to be lifted up higher and higher. Because if they fail, that's gonna tear down more than just one state. The gerrymandering is gonna get worse.
Any race to the bottom is bad, right? And gerrymandering is a race to the bottom. And the losers every single time loses with gerrymandering. We do every single time. We have unaccountable elected officials. That's what gerrymandering creates. That's the worst case scenario. Let's keep going. So after gratitude comes suffering. We have to acknowledge our suffering. We have to. If you can't acknowledge the wound, you are not going to treat the wound. If you can't acknowledge the disease, you're not going to treat it. We have to be honest about our suffering. At the burning bush, Moses hears a voice crying out that says, Moses, Moses. And the rabbis ask, why does the divine say Moses' name twice? And the story they tell is that somebody is carrying a load that is far too heavy and they're crying out for help. They need help. We have to be able to cry out for help. We have to be honest with our suffering. The wound is where the light enters. That's where the light is. As Mary Oliver said, I tell you this to break your heart, by which I mean only that it break open and never close again for the rest of the world. As the Kutzker Rebbe said, there is nothing more whole than a broken heart. Who wants to be vulnerable? Who wants to share some suffering? Nothing bothers me more than when decisions are made that affect people, and those people have no say in those decisions, and they get hurt by those decisions. When people are sitting around bribed politicians in back rooms, making deals that are just completely separate from reality. See it all the time. It brings me so much pain, and it hurts.
As a psychologist, I would tell my male patients when they would say, how do I attract women? They need vulnerability. If you're vulnerable, they will understand you right away.
Open your heart.
Women will understand that.
You're here. You have something?
I have great difficulty touching the work of ICE and incarceration and things being forced in plain sight. You have to witness supposed law enforcement in masks and grabbing people without documentation. But I think it's important that people see it, people who are okay with this president, they have to see it.
They have to encounter the suffering. What happens when somebody encounters suffering? What's the natural human response? You hear a baby crying, what do you want to do? No. No. It actually takes a lot to blind us to our neighbor and not want to help them. It takes a lot of effort to make us see our neighbor as somebody not worth helping.
I was appalled because my husband was having an operation, and I would say what hospital, but I was in the waiting room and people were seeing Vice President Vance come in on the television, and they were so excited. And I was asking them, like, because they don't believe that they think Donald Trump is kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know how to get through to people that these things are going to happen.
Yeah. Talk with them. You keep talking with them. You find your points of agreement. This is a separate subject. We can go into this for a second here. When you're talking with people you disagree with, first thing, don't be tribal, don't be partisan. Don't make them defend the worst of their tribe. If you put them on the spot and say, how can you explain what Donald Trump just said? You're going to back them into a corner, they're going to lash out. You're not going to get anywhere with them. Connect with them over your shared values. Ask them what they believe in. Don't ask them about what somebody in DC is doing. Just like you don't want them to ask you to defend the worst of the Democratic Party. That's not on either of us to do. That's on nobody to do. Let the clowns be clowns. You and I are sitting right here talking with each other. What do we agree on? What are our shared values? And at the end of the day, you're probably going to get to a point where you realize the clowns in DC aren't really connected with either of us. Howard Zinn used to say all the time, I have more in common with somebody in Iran than I do with my president or they do with their Ayatollah. Their Ayatollah and our president actually have more in common with each other than either of us do with our leaders. And that's the kind of solidarity that we have to build in society, and that means getting beyond the crap on the airwaves. And the crap on the airwaves is there to divide and conquer. And I'll say that brings me suffering. I'll state that. When I see people turning against their neighbor over absurd nonsense, lies told after lies, year after year after year, it sinks in. And people are given a story to tell to explain the situation. It's a bullshit. It's a completely wrong story, right? Blame your poor brown neighbor. Blame this group. Blame this group. Blame that group. Right? It's all wrong. But that's pumped out there. Why is that pumped out there? First of all, how is that pumped out there? Where do you see this? What am I talking about? The existence of Fox News. Yeah. The media. The existence of a lot of things on social media, right? Like, these things are pumped out there. what was that one, OAN, that news channel, right? That was propped up by AT&T, right? The ruling class props these things up. That's why they exist, that's why they're so well funded, that's why they're out there. The richest man in the world spent $300 million in the last election. Most of that was sending mailers into mailboxes telling people to hate their neighbor. That's what most of that was. And it was surgical and cynical and precise. One example, sending mailers to likely Democratic female voters, saying that Kamala Harris is not pro-choice enough, paid for by the RBG PAC. If you're a likely Democratic voter, a woman, sitting there, and you got a mailer from the Ruth Bader Ginsburg PAC that says that this candidate's not pro-choice enough, what are you going to think about that? That's something that Musk was pumping out. Another example, he was pumping out ads to Jewish voters that said Kamala Harris is pro-Hamas and is coming for you. And pumping out ads to Arab voters saying Kamala Harris is pro-Israel and is coming for you. That's what they do. It's divide and conquer so that we don't join together and go, hey, we're all getting looted here, aren't we? We're all getting robbed here, aren't we? Somebody's making a buck off of us hating our neighbor. Doesn't have to be that way.
The attack on Medicaid right now has a lot of people sounding out and say they just need to go get a job in that hatred toward people who are is one of the things that really frustrates me.
Hear, hear. We are taught to hate the poor. Some things we say in the Poor People's Campaign, and I recommend putting these slogans on billboards and pumping them out there into Clarion. It is not a sin to be poor. Poverty is a sin. Flip it on its head, right? It's not a sin to be poor. Poverty is a sin. Everybody has a right to live. Finding our place in time. At the burning bush, Moses is placed into the middle of a story that began before him and a story that's going to end after him. It's no longer just Moses sitting in his own time and place, but it's expanded well beyond his own time and place. We're all part of a story. And finding our place in the middle of the story, not at the beginning or the end, is really key in giving us kind of a feeling of comfort and hope and solidarity going forward. So we're all part of stories here. Who wants to tell the story of US immigration? Not a lot of immigrants. Actually, everybody. Everybody, right?
One is the Native Americans are the only people that belong.
Yep. Everybody else.
We stole, European men stole the country from the Native Americans.
Here, here. And at certain points in the history of the US, it's been open to some people. It's been closed to other people. It's been fully closed to most people. It's been somewhat open to most people, except for those people, right? It's been kind of this patchwork of selective racism. People have been forced. Exactly, right? So you have this kind of patchwork of different reasons people are here and different laws in US history that determine who can come here and how many people can come here. My family came in the early 1900s. We waited a few years. We would legally have not been allowed to come in. Right? A lot of people who came here in the last 50 years, if they had tried 55 years ago, they would not have been able to come in. So immigration laws are changing. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. What does the future look like?
Bleak.
No, design a better future.
Yeah, we're fixing that, sir.
Yeah. What does a good future look like here? What's the third panel in the comic strip? First panel is all of US history of immigration. Second panel is right here, right now. What does the third panel look like?
We need to think about what kind of legacy we're leaving for our children.
Yeah.
A fair and equitable system.
A fair, equitable, and what does that mean to people?
More legal ways to get here, easier, cheaper.
More freedom of movement, more accessible freedom of movement. What else?
Just carry bridge.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Welcoming the neighbor with hospitality.
Clean air and clean water.
Clean air and clean water. It's part of it all.
For everybody, so they don't.
Yeah. Right? A positive vision of future immigration also looks into other things, like our foreign policy. Let's stop destabilizing Latin American countries.
As corny as it sounds,
part of the
a
future.
rebuilding of the American dream.
Say it again?
As corny as it sounds, a rebuilding of the American dream.
Here, here.
It's not funding genocide. Come here, or be born here. the no advantages of making?
Let's say just a whole system designed from a place of peace and not from a place of war, from a place of nonviolence and not from a place of violence. You could design a system in that image. And that could be, right now, we're writing a story that's going to take us into that third act. And depending on the story we're writing right now, that's going to determine the third act. So we have to do our part. Let's keep going here. The last step, the fourth thing. So we have gratitude, suffering, finding our place in a bigger story. And then the last thing that happened at the burning bush was Moses had clear direction. This is your next step. He also had an expanded vision. This is where you're going to end up. Every step in the middle was not filled in. Go talk to the elders, go talk to Pharaoh. That's step one. In the future, freedom, promised land, big things, big ideas, right? You have to know kind of what your third act looks like, what the future looks like that you're heading toward. You don't need to know every step of the way to get there, but you do need to know the first step. Right? As Seneca said, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. You've got to know where you're going. And then you just have to have that faith that Dr. King talked about, taking the first step when you cannot see the rest of the staircase. Gratitude, suffering, finding our place in a bigger story, finding our next step. How are people feeling? And I kind of sped through those last two. Okay, designing a campaign. We're going to move fast here. What are your goals? What is your campaign? What is your strategy? What are your tactics? What resources do you need? Should we do Moshannon? Sure. Okay, so Moshannon, I'm just going to say a few things first and then pass it off. A lot of groups across the state are planning these actions here. March on Harrisburg, we have been working with some of the others, the Montgomery County Indivisible folks, you all today, and some people in New York as well who are going to be part of this. So we've been helping them a little bit strategize, and just happy to do the same here and open this up. Please.
Well, okay, I'll get there. The ultimate goal is to have that facility shut down. A way to do that, a long-term goal, sort of long-term goal, is that their contract with the county. Okay, Geo Group that runs this, it's the for-profit.
I'm going to cut you off every line here. Sorry. So goals.
The goal.
Shut down detention centers.
Yes.
Excellent. A campaign to do that? Got it.
The campaign to do that is that the contract ends in November of 2026. So we are working on building that awareness and public pressure that they do not have to rely on human trafficking in their economy. It's lazy economy.
Here, here. And so how do you get them to decide to shut down the detention center? Let's go into strategy here a little bit. Who makes that decision?
Ultimately, it is the county commissioners.
Okay, who are they? I'm just going to pepper anybody. Please feel free to weigh in here. I'm just. Which county is it?
Clearfield County.
Clearfield County.
Yeah.
So you have 3 commissioners in
Yes.
Clearfield County, 2 Republican, 1 Democrat. I
Yes.
guess. I'm going to guess the Democrat's basically a Republican.
Yeah.
That's usually how it works.
So 3 Republicans.
They voted for it. So
So 3 Republicans.
All 3 voted for it?
all 3 voted
So
for
all
it.
3 are on record. Okay, so does anybody else have the decision-making power to shut it down in the state? Who else could intervene?
The Congress, our congressman.
Congress, how can they intervene?
Well, they can go into the facility, they can see the conditions, they can potentially ban for-profit detention centers in our state. That, something they can work on.
So Congress can pass a law that says no for-profit detention centers, and that would be it. That would be over.
Yeah, and it's something we can work on at the state level too.
And who at the state has that?
I would say the governor and all of our representatives that we could reach out to. Because for-profit detention centers really aren't popular.
So I'm going to circle back to some of the other types of nonviolent direct action, right? We kind of just went right into a point of decision. a decision can be made to shut this place down. Let's get to that point. Let's influence that point of decision and have them make the right decision. Are there any other types of nonviolent direct actions that would play here? Point of survival? What would that look like? I'm not advising any of this, by the way, but I'm just saying, what does a point of survival look like?
Geo Group needs things. They need water, they need food for these people, they need employees. If nobody wants to work for that company, if nobody will drive the truck with the food up into that facility, they can't run it.
There you go. You disrupt the actual flow of business, right? You make it impossible for them to do what they're doing. You don't let the shift change happen. You don't let the new busload of immigrants come in, right? Those are kind of more extreme actions. So let's go back to point of decision. But I just wanted to share that, right? There's bigger things that take 10,000 trained people to pull off, and we're not there yet. But we can get there. And in fact, when revolutions happen, that's how they happen. That's when you get there. Okay, so point of decision. I'm sorry, please. I'm going to keep putting you on the spot. So point of decision, you have the county commissioners, governor, Congress. So you have three options there. What is the strategy to get to the county commissioners and to make them change their minds and do the right thing? How do you get there?
Well, we're starting this week by going to their meetings. We are getting it publicity in the news. We are canvassing our neighbor, or canvassing the whole county up there, letting people know that it's there. Well, most people aren't even aware that it is there in their county. So bringing that awareness.
So we're raising awareness, encountering them through their commissioner meetings. So another group that's working on this too, they brought up another idea of trying to get the contract voided.
That's the goal.
So before 2026.
Voided, not the sooner the better, but that's when the contract ends.
And so I think they were saying that in the contract, there's stipulations around the conditions inside, and that they're pretty clearly in violation of those conditions.
They have violated almost every condition of that contract.
And so that could be a pathway, is to go through the courts.
Yes, we have a lawyer coming with us on Tuesday to this commissioner meeting, so.
Hell yeah. Right, so, okay, what other ways? Let's brainstorm.
Yeah.
How else can you get them to decide? What else can we, okay, so let's go down the line here. Tactics. We've talked about going to commissioners meetings, that's a tactic. Flyering and being in the community, that's a tactic. What else? What are the other tactics that can get us there?
Calling those representatives and just raising.
Phone calls, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here too. Letters to the editor, right, is another good tactic for this kind of thing.
Yeah. Just like your group has, and another group I was involved in, yard signs where people choose to take a stand by sticking something in their yard, like give those, right in films, everywhere you can get them.
Yeah, yard signs, absolutely, absolutely. I throw in there too, make a sticker run and stick those on every light pole. They're great too.
Those are good.
Is the public in Phillipsburg and surrounding area, are they aware of the bad conditions there?
Not really, they don't even know that it is there.
So I think raising public awareness.
And so you can do that, just go out, knock on doors.
Even
meet
more
people.
than putting up a sign, telling people what's going on, that they, as you were talking about, getting them behind you.
We have some good flyers I'll share in the email for everybody that you can disperse.
Right, those kind of the level of intensity of the encounter. You can put up a yard sign, which is great. People are going to see that. Someone's knocking on your door and saying, hey, let's talk about this. That's a more intense version, right? A phone call is less than a yard sign. So you can kind of think of these things on that scale. They're all necessary, they're all needed, but always be trying to escalate as you're going. Yeah, what else? What other tactics? Protests, rallies. You're doing one on the 24th, 27th? 24th, that Sunday, yep. Absolutely, right? That's a good way to educate the public, bring people in, and then also when you go around and knock on their doors afterward, you go, yeah, that was us. We were the group you just saw. Yeah, what else? What other tactics?
Negative national attention, like in the bigger, or even like statewide, that's not so local. Like it's been hard. I know it's been harder with Alcatraz being worse, but making Clearfield County look bad for having this there.
That's the sad thing. I'm not sure that it is worse. The more I read about this place, the
Right.
worse it gets.
And just like
So getting that out
getting the
there.
national media out and making more than just Clearfield County aware.
So let's go back into strategy for a second, right? What's the communication strategy? What do you, of course, you're always trying to go bigger, right? You want to try to break through nationally, internationally. What do you say? What's the message that you're putting out there, that you're communicating?
That they can do better. That the biggest argument that we're getting from people is their jobs. They're worrying about these jobs. And from watching people at shift change and coming out stuff, there's maybe 150 people that work there, not the 200 and 300 they're claiming. It's got to be between 100 and 150. And it's lazy economy is what it is. It is like the onus is not on us. It is on them. They're making money off of what is now essentially human trafficking. And they can do better. They're the ones that are not bringing a better economy to their area. They're the ones.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're the ones that aren't bringing better jobs. They're the ones that are choosing this lazy contract. And
so the amount of money that, who's paying for this?
ICE pays the county, and then the county pays Geo Group. Like the county is really the middleman between ICE and the for-profit company.
And
Can I ask a question? Who makes the standards for these detention centers? Because I know Geo Group has like Abraxas, or they used to, and there were, because I consulted with Abraxas, and there were strict standards as to how they had to act. And who makes the
Department of Homeland Security.
So that needs to change. You know.
And then also there's what's written on paper and what's happening in reality. And so that's part of this contract too, is the contract says this is what's supposed to happen, but reality is not that.
You can do a quality analysis on the population because human error is great. All those 150 people are not going to be adequate if we've got 1 or 2 major psychotic people who have episodes. If you do a quality control thing, you'll find that periodically, every 6 months, every 4 months, they have somebody that has to be thrown out into a state hospital or something more severe than a detention center. So you make that inroads with this quality analysis. You begin to show that the staff is not adequately trained. There are people with no training brought in for like a minimum wage. Quality control analysis will show huge errors.
I'm not sure how much training of staff is relevant to the fact that there's a concentration camp in the middle of Pennsylvania.
They actually, this bad part is they pay quite well. And they have good benefits. And that's why people are fighting so hard for these jobs.
If anybody you know tries to take one of those jobs, just ask them, can I help you? People are taking these jobs from a place of desperation, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Somebody might just need some help
Like
getting
that, you're
through
gonna have
that.
sexual abuse cases. Humans are humans.
Yeah. There's definitely some bad apples in that bunch.
Real quick, it's our tax dollars. This budget has made them a larger budget than all the militaries in the world, except for like 15. And there's 195 countries in this world.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, at the end of the day, they're kind of working themselves out of a job at this point. If they are deporting all of these immigrants, where do they go from there? They're losing these jobs anyway.
Yeah, no, they're not. You know, they're not.
Question.
Citizens too.
Because this argument sounds a whole lot like what happened with fracking in Pennsylvania too. Good jobs, good paying jobs. And you're talking about right now people who are desperate for employment, and you're talking about getting them out of those jobs. So my question is, what is your outreach to the workers? And also, what is your outreach to, you want to influence the county commissioners, what is your outreach to them? I mean, if you're outsiders coming in, how much sway do you think you're going to have with them? So what are you doing to bring people in Phillipsburg on board? I know you said you're doing outreach, but
Yeah.
it's gotta be a good strategy.
Another thing I thought of is, like doing actual job searches. That's not even the biggest game in town for jobs. There are plenty of good jobs in Clearfield County. Yeah, there are plenty of good jobs in Clearfield County. So I thought about just handing them applications for other jobs that are of, equal quality that they can get. We thought about having it here soon, a contest for that local area. Like, what would you like? What do you think this property in this building should be? Like, what do you think would be better for the community than this? Just trying to get people to think of something, dream of something better.
Step in here because a lot of what you've done an excellent job. What is your name?
Caitlin.
Caitlin, you've done an excellent job. And this is one of the things that a lot of times people don't understand. They see a demonstration or they see a mass thing and they think, oh, people just spontaneously got together. But it's not that. It's never has been that. It wasn't that during the civil rights movement and people think, oh, people just got together. Those parks just sat down and all this. No, it's the planning. It's all of the work that goes into that. And obviously you all have done a really good job of thinking about it. And that is some of what we want to help with, is to keep thinking about how do we get deeper? How do we go broader? How do we bring more people in? So great job. Yeah. And we segue.
A segue.
It's a good segue there.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Campaign. Keep planning, keep strategizing. What do I want to say? As you're going, we're happy to help. We're happy to think anything through. But also just wanted to share, please, as you're designing your campaign, build into it your base building and your leadership development. Build into it how you're growing your campaign, how you're growing the group, how you're bringing in people in Phillipsburg, and then how you're developing leaders out of them to take on the tactics, to do the work, to know what's going on. And one last just messaging point. We kind of circled around this a little bit, but the idea of economy and this is a waste of state money and all of that. Frame a positive alongside that. Here's the negative of what we're spending our money on. This equals 3 new hospitals. This equals 2 new schools. This equals 6 parks. This equals whatever it is that people there care about. We could be doing good things. It's not just stop the bad thing. We can invest in ourselves and do good things too. Penn, please.
Okay, so I think that what Michael just touched upon is really important, and that is some of what we don't do is we don't envision enough about what we want. Michael had us do that a couple of times. What is it that we want? That is a really important part, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to start this part off with a role play. How many of you have done role plays before? Okay, so a role play is I set up a situation and you are playing in that as a role, and we see what happens, and then we sort of debrief what happened. So this is the situation. You all are employees of a company. You all work together, and you just learned that the company has been moved over to new management. You don't know quite what that means, but you're going to meet this morning. You're all sitting here. You've been told to come because this is the meeting for the new management. Now, when you are dealing with this situation, I want you to remember a couple of things. One is that you really want to keep your job, okay? This is not something you don't really have the option to be fired. And the other thing that I want you to keep in mind is that you have some sense that new management is going to come in and want to control the situation, right? So you don't want your goal in this situation, to keep in your head, your goal is to not let me control the situation, even though I'm going to be the representative of new management. So you all are now, we're starting the role play. I'm going to go out and come back in, and I'm Mrs. Carter, okay? So good morning, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. We are here because I am introducing the new management. I want to tell you, the first thing I want to tell you is we are going to act like family. We are a family, and you all are going to see how we do things in a family manner. So I have a couple of things that I want to do before we get started here. There are some people out there that need to talk to some of you, and I'm going to ask a couple of you. Would you please go out? What is your name?
Kaylee.
Kaylee, would you please go outside? And the other, would you please go outside? And I'm looking for you.
Kaylee, are you good to
Would
go
you
outside? Okay, I just want to check in on if you're actually okay to go, okay.
Okay, would you just go outside? Yeah. Okay, now, I want you all to know that as a family, there are going to be some things that we have to do. As you know, with family, their children and their parents, and parents sometimes have to do things that you might not quite understand, but we're gonna really want to get along and make sure that everybody is happy, and that, you know, you have some sense of why you're here and how we all can work together. Okay, stop. Okay. So. You can come back in.
Maybe they don't want to.
Yeah. Okay, end of role play. This is the end of the role play. I'm back to being Penn, okay, not Mrs. Carter. So I want to just ask, how did you all feel, the three of you who were separated out and asked to leave? How did you feel when that happened? How did you feel?
I'm probably not a good person for this, fine.
For this what?
I'm probably not a good person for this exercise, I'm fine.
You were fine, okay, how did you feel?
So we were wondering what our new roles were going to be.
Okay, all right.
Were we getting promoted?
Okay.
Positive.
Stay in the corner.
Oh, okay, all right. How did some of you who are sitting here feel? How did everybody here feel? Yes, and then you, yeah.
I thought you were picking favorites already.
Picking favorites already, okay?
I think you were just choosing the strongest people who would have a voice, because you're moving down conversation.
And how did you feel about that?
It was scary and
Scary. How many of you felt a little scared when I came in, even though we were role playing and, you know, you knew who I was? How many of you kind of got, well, raise your hand if you're feeling that way.
out of control.
Out of control, okay.
It was clearly picking women because they were vulnerable.
Okay, all right. Actually, I was picking people who I had some idea that I thought was gonna make, I'm gonna tell you now, it's in the role play, you know, it's part of the role play. I was thinking of people who I thought were going to be, I noticed that she had been up here speaking. I noticed that she had said something that I thought, I wonder what she's thinking. And I was looking over her and thinking, she looks a little different, I'm gonna just use these people. And she had also spoken. So what I was doing was removing people that I thought had spoken out. Did any of you think that might be happening?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of you thought that might be happening. Who controlled the situation? Completely, right? There was nothing that came in the way.
I tried to cough and throw you off your course.
Yeah. He tried to call, he gave you a little hint.
And I was trying to give you an out to say like, oh, I wrote that.
Okay, so now I did say that I wanted you not to get fired, all right? But on the other hand, that's the first time you've met me, and what was the message that you got then?
Somebody's gonna get fired.
There's something gonna go on, we don't know what, this whole family.
That creeps me out every time.
Yeah, that's why I use it, when anybody says we're gonna be like a family, watch out, okay? So, just like when anybody says go shopping, watch out, all right?
I'm just gonna
So-
interject here that you have 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, thank you. So what I wanna tell you is the amount of times that we just go along with things as you all did, and you are political people, all right? You are unusual in that you are politically active. You're out, many of you are out on the street. we go along. Why do we go along?
Get along.
To get along, and because we've been trained to do that, all right? Now, I'm not saying everyone here is middle class, but I'm gonna say, as middle class people, we are trained to go along with, that's our job, is to do that. So anytime you don't go along and you start non-cooperating in any way, you are going to feel a little inside. You're not gonna be comfortable. You're gonna feel a little nervousness and fear,
I think
okay?
that's especially true for our generation.
No, I don't think it's especially true for our generation. I really don't. I think that is, somebody said earlier, it's human nature, and we've been trained constantly to do that. So that when you stop something, you do something different, and you are blocking, you're kind of feel awkward about it. We've talked a lot about nonviolence. There are two motions in nonviolence. One is this. So everybody put your hand out like this. This says stop. That's what we're all about right now. We're saying stop, not in my name, you're not doing this. The other hand always has to do this, which is it's welcoming, it's inviting. We have to be, and Michael referred to this, you have to be inviting people to join us, because all of you probably heard of the 3.5%, right? Anybody not know what the 3.5% is? 3.5% of the people, two people, Chenoweth and Maria, what's her last name? Stefan, have said they did some studies on this, and 3.5% of the people, if they actively, that percentage of the population is involved in resisting an authoritarian government, you have a better chance, okay? But we are not 3.5%. Every indivisible, even all of them together are not. So we're going to have to be doing this, which we've been doing, all right? And we're going to learn more about non-cooperation. But we also have to be doing this, which is Michael has referred to it, both Michaels have referred to that. How you talk with people, how you bring people in, how you make sure that you don't alienate people, but you're always increasing the numbers, base building and increasing the numbers that you're building in. So let me just put the next thing up here. One of the things that I think that I want to talk a little bit about, I know I don't have much time, but I'm going to talk a little bit about, Michael also has referred to this, and this is, there is not just a war going on in terms of what our country is going to, what direction it's going to be going in. There's also a psychological war going on. And we talked a little bit about it, but I want to talk more about it. And that is that authoritarian governments always want you to feel like they're in control. Mrs. Carter is in control, right? They don't want you to have the feeling that you can do something, which actually I was able to make you feel, right? So that is the psychological warfare that's going on. And anytime that you start feeling that you are not able to do something, or whatever we do is too little, or any of those kind of negative, overwhelmed, how many people do feel overwhelmed? If you're not paying attention, if you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're not paying attention. If you're paying attention, you're going to feel overwhelmed. How many of you feel scared about where our country's going? How many of you feel angry about what's going on? Yeah, all of these emotions that we are feeling, it's really important that we acknowledge them. This is not about not acknowledging them, but it is about finding safe places to do that. My husband, right, sitting right here, will tell you that I am not cool, calm, and collected at all times. There are times that I am so angry, he hears it. He's my safe space, okay? So when people say, oh, you don't have trouble with that, oh, talk to my husband about that. So we need to have places that we can talk. And I always am telling people, get a group of people, even if it's 3 or 4 people that you get together. Get a group of people together that you can cry with, that you can scream with, that you can really, because that is where our passion and our anger lies. Our passion and our ability to fight. With our anger, with our terrible upsetness about what's going on, that is where we can fuel, that's where the fire comes from, all right, that keeps us going. So it's not about keeping that down, it's about giving space for that. But then when you're out on the street here, and I just went out with you all and somebody stopped and I was holding my sign and the guy came up and he said, all we're doing is trying to get rid of those illegal criminals. Now, if that touches me off and I start getting into an argument with him, I'm not doing this, right? I'm standing out there doing this with my sign, but I have to also, that takes an amount of being able to work on yourself, to be able to do that. And so that's where the emotional work comes in. Self-care is extremely important, and that really does mean that we have to take breaks. It's like a chorus. We've probably heard that, And a chorus, not everybody sings the long, long piece. Some people stop singing and then they get their breath and they sing again. That's what we have to be doing. We have to make sure that we really are taking care of ourselves and our groups. Developing leadership. This is not, somebody said to me, oh, it's too bad we don't have a Dr. King. And I said, Dr. King was great in his day, but I don't think we need a Dr. King. I think all of us need to be leaders now. And that means something about stepping forward. I'm going to say something that's not very popular when I say it. There is one good thing that Trump's coming to power is doing, and that is that it's making us see that we have to fight for our democracy. It's not just a given. I've worked in Latin America with people who are in countries that have expected not to have democracy. We've expected always to have it. Now we know that we can lose it very quickly, just like Colombia can, or any other country in the world can. So that is something that we really have to see, as all of us need to step forward as leaders. So that means if you're wondering, why isn't there a boycott going on about, there was the Tesla boycott, or why isn't there another boycott? Think, how can I see what's going on and connect up? We have the internet now. In my younger days, we did not have the internet, but now we have the internet. Connect up and find out how can you be part of starting a boycott that can be maybe national. Connect up. So those are the kinds of things that we have to start thinking about, is stepping forward and all of us being leaders. I'm working with immigrants. I knew nothing about immigration before I did this. Now I've learned, okay? Everybody can step up. This is not rocket science, but it is meaning you put your heart and your courage, as Michael said, the word courage comes from heart. You put your heart and your courage and your mind to really finding ways that we can start to be leaders and talk to other people and bring other people in. So this growing the 3.5%, that is going to really take us to be able to talk with other people that we don't generally talk with, to bring them in. I'm going to ask, before you do the next one, I'm going to ask this question. What would you say non-cooperation is? What would be your definition of non-cooperation? Not doing what you're told, what? Not passive aggressive, okay.
Teenagers do it all the time.
Okay, good. So it is not, can you put the next slide up? Yeah. So refusing to cooperate or comply with requests, demands, or orders with the goal of disrupting the ability of the authoritarian leader to rule. So that's what I was asking you to do with me, and you didn't do that, okay? You did not do that. And many groups don't, so don't feel bad that you didn't, because that's one of the reasons I do this workshop. In workshops, I do this role play, is because it's really important to have an emotional understanding of what blocks us from doing that normally, all right? So we're going to talk, can you put the next one up? Do not think you have no power, and do not give up your power before it's demanded. Who's been giving up their power? Who have we seen in our country giving up their power? Yes.
Higher education.
Higher education. Boom. Okay. Who else?
Big law firm.
Big law firms. Yes.
Universities.
Most of Congress.
Most of Congress. Yeah. The media. Okay. So if I'm a person who wants to get control and people are just immediately giving up, what does that do to me? Yeah, anybody who's dealt with a bully, I mean, I used to fight against bullies when I was a kid. If you give an inch to a bully, what happens? We all know that. Well, it's the same thing, you know, so that kind of thinking of giving in is going to, you know, now on the other side of that, and that's why I said I didn't want you in the role play, I did not want you to be fired, didn't want you to lose your jobs, because on the other side of that, we do not want to just offer ourselves up to be taken out of the picture, because then we can't be part of the solution, okay? So it's a balancing act that goes on with non-cooperation, the idea of non-cooperation. A lot of what I'm going to be giving you in a very quick amount of time is the same information that from a group called Choose Democracy, and I gave Kathleen that website. Choose Democracy, a group of people got together and they started looking at internationally and in our history, how have we been able to fight against authoritarian governments? And what they found was non-cooperation. And so they formed a kind of workshop that a lot of us, so any of you who have been online, Indivisible has been doing it online. A lot of different groups have been doing it. And so a lot of this material is the same material that's being taught around the country now, so that we all have a common language and a common understanding. So next slide. So what authoritarians do, I'm not going to go a lot into this. I think we all know, all right? I'm just giving you a moment to look at this, but all of this are the kinds of things: breaking the law, direct investigation against critics, federal law enforcement overreach, and the autocrat won't leave, deploying the military domestically. We're seeing, so all of these things, this is not unusual. This is worldwide. If you look at what happens for authoritarian governments, as we've been saying, it's a playbook that they use. It's going on here. We've had some time here where people go, this can't be happening in our country. Well, it is. No more American exceptionalism. It is happening here. Next slide. So we have the demagogue up here, aspiring dictator. That was Mrs. Carter here. And then we have all the parts that can be on the democracy team. So state and local governments can be on the democracy team. Federal civil servants, we haven't fired them all, can be, and even when they're fired, can be on the democracy team. The judiciary, we've seen some, not the Supreme Court, but we've seen some.
I was going to say, we've also seen some not.
What?
We've also seen some on the wrong side of this.
And some on the wrong side. Opposition political parties, well, we have had some problems with that, as we know. And civil society, that's where we all come in, okay? Civil society. And civil society refers to such things as the Rotary clubs and all the kinds of ways that people get together in the book clubs. It's the ways that people get together. In an authoritarian government, they don't want civil society for obvious reasons. If you have an active civil society, that's a counterbalance to what they want to be doing. They want to keep people very separated out. So this is kind of our democracy team that we have. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the pillars, and don't move it quite yet. We're going to talk about the pillars of democracy. It used to be that people thought, well, you know, power flowed from above and came down, and that's how power was, and, you know, but, well, that's not true. It's the opposite. We will do the next one. So the power comes from below. All of us sitting here and in all the other meetings of Indivisible and Red Wine and Blue and everything else that's been meeting. Our goal as our team is to slow it, to stop it, and to reverse it. So the slowing it is what we're building up towards. That's where teaching people about non-cooperation and how we do that is part of that. Slowing it. Stopping it is what we hope to do, and reversing it is what we talked about at having a dream of the kind of society we want to live in. We're not necessarily going to go back, because that was not as great as we think could be. Okay, next. So this is the power. This is not the way, this is the old model here, over here. And this is the way with, you can see how this power is being propped up by pillars here, okay? So the pillars of society, we're gonna talk a little bit about the pillars of society. So how does our society run? What are some of the pillars that keep it going all the time? What are some of the pillars? The education, whole education system, public school system, private, it's all the way through university education system. What else? What? The church. Churches, religious institutions, exactly.
Healthcare.
Healthcare, the whole healthcare system, yeah, yes.
Banks and finance system.
Good, banks and finance system, what else?
Judicial system.
What?
Judicial system.
The judicial system,
Infrastructure, like roads and.
yeah, infrastructure, so but military, okay? What?
Free press.
Media, the free press, yeah, exactly. So can you go to the next one? So these are just some of them that have been listed here, okay? There's some of them. And that's what the government and the regime are based on, those working for the government. Now, let me ask you a question. If all ICE agents refuse to go out and do their job, what would happen? Yeah, the whole system that this administration is trying to do would shut down. Now, I know that's not going to happen, especially with the big salaries they're going to be given, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact is that the people in power cannot carry that out without the people who are part of civil society doing their jobs in the way they're supposed to. So our work is to think about how can we, on a personal level, how can we non-cooperate? What are some ways on a personal level that you can non-cooperate? You may be in different situations. What's something you can do on a personal level?
Not pay taxes.
Not pay taxes, okay? Yeah. What else can you do on a personal level?
Contact media.
Contact the media, okay?
Like
With
letters to the editor.
yeah, putting your thoughts out.
Pictures.
Putting your thoughts out, no matter what, okay? No matter what, don't be talked out of putting out your voice. I've had some people say, "Oh, I don't sign anything any longer, even online, because they might be getting my name and so stopping that kind of, I'm not going to speak out for what I believe in. I won't put that sign out there. No, that is cooperating. That is cooperating before you're even told not to put the sign out, okay? What's another way that you can non-cooperate? Yes?
Letters to the editor.
Letters to the editor, yeah. What else?
Not supporting corporations. I was thinking of business. You know.
Yes, look what happened with the Tesla. That was just people getting together, and look what that's done. Now, I mentioned something about, in the beginning, I heard some of these businesses were not, I can't remember what they were. We're not supposed to be buying from them, and then that kind of frizzled away. So boycotting certain businesses, boycotting certain Target, yeah. What, Amazon, yeah. So keeping that going, that kind of fizzled, I don't know why, but that's another way, yes.
Aristophanes wrote a play, and the women decided to stop war, and they stopped sexual relationships.
The younger women are already doing that.
Yes, there is a movement, yeah, yes.
Keep an eye on CBS News.
Keep an eye on, okay.
CBS News, they used to be great. Now they're cooperating with the Trump administration.
So, what I want to show here is that what we want to do is weaken whatever we decide are the pillars, these are some and there are others, we want to weaken them. But we also want to look at the fact that each pillar has different parts of it. Generals, officers, and soldiers, you're going to approach them differently, okay? So we sort of started touching on this when we were talking about what to do with the detention center, and you were being asked, you know, to talk about. So it's important to start thinking about how do we start looking at some of these different pillars and start working to pull them away. You might know somebody who's in the Army. You might want to talk with them. And there have been different histories of armies that have been told to fire on their people. In the former Yugoslavia, this happened. Fire on their people, and they didn't because a lot of people had been talking to them. A lot of people had been working on them. We are your brothers, we are your sisters, your family, etc. So this is important to start thinking about. We're only going to touch on this today, and Pat, thank you for keeping me on time. We're only going to touch on this today, but we wanted to bring this up so that you have some idea that we're moving now towards a time of non-cooperation. And in our groups like here, we have to be thinking about who do we have contact with that we can then help to non-cooperate. So one last slide here. I think this is a certain kind of time of fire. Michael started in the beginning talking about the forge, and this is a time that things are fired up. And I've referred to the fact that our passion is what keeps us going, keeps us coming to these meetings and doing the demonstrations and doing the things that we need to. So it is important for us to keep that alive. And that is one thing that authoritarian governments don't want. They do not want their fires and not ours. So we have to find ways individually to keep going and as a movement to keep going. And not only to keep going, but to actually fire up more people to join us. So thank you all. I hope this was helpful.
We're gonna close out some.
Yeah.
There's one more slide. That was it. Okay, donate. Everybody, if you can, become a $10 a month donor if you can.
What's the website?
Marchonharrisburg.org.
You can use that thing right there.
And you can take a picture of the QR code. MOHPA. Sorry, MOHPA.org is our website, or if you just type in marchonharrisburg.org, it will take you there too.
Or you can copy it out of the notes.
Absolutely, thank you. As you can all imagine, Shell Oil is not sponsoring March on Harrisburg. We run on donations from people like you. So please and thank you. Let's go back 2 slides. And I want to close us out with that fire exercise. So Penn was just talking about fire. We've talked about fire a lot today. These are different metaphors for fire, and we're thinking of just closing out by having you turn to your neighbor and just talking from a place of, from the metaphor that speaks to you right now. So let's go through them together. A burning bush, transforming despair into hope, igniting that fire, tending to the fire with it. This is a Dr. King quote from his famous speech, "I have been to the mountaintop." This is from earlier in that speech when he talks about Bull Connor turning the water hoses on the protesters. And he's talking about how there is a type of fire that no water could put out. And he's talking about the burning bush with it. We've got to tend to our burning bush, transform despair into hope. The fire of the sun. Fire is nourishing. How are you feeling nourished by your fire? How are you growing? How are you using your fire to grow, to nourish? Fire truck. How are you just ignoring the law, ignoring the red lights, powering through, speeding through, and going for it? Right? What is your fire truck? Is that a metaphor that's speaking to you right now? Are you ready to turn the sirens on and churn through anything to get to the emergency and put the fire out? Campfires. We all come together around the campfire. This is how we build community around the campfire. Is that metaphor speaking to you? And then this one from fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Any fans here? I got one. It's a great show. Highly recommend possibly the most perfect television show ever created. It's called Avatar: The Last Airbender. 3 seasons, early 2000s. It's a whole metaphor for the Iraq War. It's brilliant. But this is an episode where he learns that the fire that he's been powering through with anger is actually tied to love. And that you can simmer with that anger and you might burn out with that. But if you can get to the love beneath the anger, why are you angry? Who is getting hurt that you love that makes you angry? Right? That's why you're angry. There's a part of love. You got to connect with that. That can be a really nourishing source. So we're just throwing a bunch of fire metaphors at you. If you can't get the sense of the day, it's get fired up. So please, anybody just want to share anything out loud, or anybody have any thoughts? We could do an exercise. I think we're running out of time though.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Anybody have any thoughts you want to share on fire or anything from today? Please.
It's real simple, love versus hate.
There it is. Let's do a couple of those verses, right? Democracy versus corruption, love versus hate, good versus bad, right? All of these things.
Anger is very real for all of us. We all know it. And psychiatric patients, I just say, you are angry. Gasoline is one of the most terrible things. Explosive, dangerous. But if you know how to handle gas, it runs the whole country. If you know how to handle your anger, it is energy to do incredible things. To confront a group is so incredibly passive. I'm 87, and I can't believe how passive this group is. Nobody challenged her when she said, you think people go out. We're supposed to be role playing, right? So you were allowed to say, I'm not doing that, you dumb bitch.
You're on fire.
No, I'm saying, we're on fire. So I can easily send you, who the hell are you? I'm not going out.
And what if you had all gotten fired? Who's running the company? Who's running the company at that point?
You all could have said, no, you're not taking them.
Exactly.
I didn't hear you say nothing.
Well, I was.
The whole room, we're all in it together, folks. We're all in it together. Right?
Well, you all could have gotten up and walked out.
If you'd done that, I couldn't. By just saying, Ms. Carter, why are you taking these people on?
Exactly. No, I mean, incredibly passive.
Somebody could have said, is it because Kaylee's such a natural leader? Is that why you're taking her? That's not good. Anything, right? So channel your fire, tend to your fire, channel your fire, be strategic, please be strategic, be clear about your aims. I'm just going to close with one last thought here of, this is the second Trump term. We're all aware of this, right? We all lived through the first one. I remember vividly what the activism scene was like, and it fizzled out around 2018, 2019. People got tired, people went home. Not everybody, of course, not everybody, but the activism shrunk. That cannot happen again. We cannot go flailing ourselves through the wind. We have to know these are our goals. This is our strategy to accomplish those goals. These are the tactics we're going to carry out to move that strategy forward. And these are the resources we need to win. We have to be focused. If we're reacting to everything that's coming out at us on cable news, we're going to lose.
And it can't end when Trump's not there anymore.
Exactly. Well, the whole system is still there. When I'm describing how one person, one vote was conquered by $1, one vote, that means, I'm sorry, that happened way before the first Trump term. It's what led to it. We're living in a rotten system, folks. It doesn't have to be this way, and we can turn it into the system that we all grew up believing in, and that we should be living in. So anyway, please, focus, productivity. Don't let cable news spin your wheels. Help is not coming from above or from any politicians or parties. It starts right here with everybody, and that's how it goes. gonna connect with Kathy, all of your leaders to get you going on those tactics and working with Michael and having fun.
We're gonna go see Pittman, right? We're gonna go see Pittman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold
let's
on,
get it done.
before you leave, we've got a video for you.
Yeah, we have a quick video. We always try to end these programs with something humorous, something uplifting. This is it for today. Grab some food on your way out, but we do have to be all cleaned up and out of here by 3:30. This could have been a semester-long class for us. I wish we could continue, but we want to thank these people.
Try to distract, but it ain't gonna work this time. There's lots of pages you'd like to redact while you're slipping with the slide. Go away, go away. No sexy cause gonna bite your butt, and it ain't gonna go away. You can go play golf. You can go to war today. You can point your finger at everyone else, but it ain't gonna go away. Yeah, it ain't gonna go away. Come on, girl, it ain't gonna go away. No sexy balls gonna bite you up, but it ain't gonna go away. We won't stop singing till we see those names in the book we want to read. The victims all deserve that till we root out each bad seed. It ain't gonna go away. It ain't gonna go away. The sexy balls gonna bite you up, and it ain't gonna go away. It ain't gonna go away. It ain't gonna go away. No sexy balls gonna bite you up, and it ain't gonna go away. Woo!
So I have some business cards here. They have QR codes if you want to follow the group to keep up on what's going on with Shannon. Yeah, I mean, I'll just set them here. You can grab them on your way out.
Remember your postcards?
And I have more in my purse if we run out.
Sign up at marchonharrisburg.org. I forgot to sign up. So sign up at marchonharrisburg.org.
And oh yeah, and the action for the 24th at Miss Shannon is on Mobilize too. And it's helpful if you sign up on there. It helps keep track of numbers.
Always fun.
Yes, we're going. We're going.